I'm John McKay, and I'm the Member of Parliament for Scarborough-Guildwood, and this is our latest installment on our podcast about what you make a life by what you give, and you make a living by what you do. Um, and I have two ladies with me today from the Toronto City Mission who live and breathe that saying, which is that they are making a life by what they give. And the way in which they give is through the Toronto City Mission, one of the oldest continuous running missions, possibly the oldest. Toronto City Mission is probably the oldest city mission in all of Toronto, possibly all of Canada. But first of all, I want to talk to Mila and Carmen and ask them how they end up with Toronto City Mission. So Mila, um, I know you live behind Cedar Brae Collegiate, but other than that, I don't know. So, are you a local? You have to be therefore a local Scarborough resident. Have you always been a local Scarborough resident?
Yes, born and raised in Scarborough. I was originally closer to the Markham and Eglinton
Hmm.
intersection, but then moved over to Markham and Lawrence. So this is where I've spent most of my childhood and went to the local school at Cedar Brae.
At Cedar Brae.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, they wouldn't let you into Laurier. Was that the problem? And after Cedar Brae, where'd you go?
I went to York University.
Yeah.
I studied science, so I got my Bachelor of Science and Bachelor's of Education.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And after that,
And after that, I went right into Toronto City Mission.
really,
So
with
yes,
a Bachelor of Science degree.
yes, a very controversial choice and decision, but I really like the holistic piece of Toronto City Mission. So we were primarily working with kids and families impacted by poverty, and that was
Hmm.
something I was always passionate about. But they incorporated faith, they incorporated the tutoring aspect, the community and family aspect, and as well as after school programs. So it was all these things that I really loved all in one. I
Hmm.
knew that I love to teach and I do love working with kids, but I liked that it was more community based.
Really.
Yep. So I went.
And so why was this so controversial? Obviously, your parents are pretty thrilled that you got a Master of Science, a Bachelor of Science degree and a master's degree. So, is that where the controversy is in in the family?
Yeah, I think the natural choice would have been to be a teacher.
Yeah.
But once they knew I was really solid on my decision, they
Hmm.
supported me fully. So it's been great to have my parents even come help volunteer, and some of them are now tutors,
Well,
helping some of my kids in our program. So I've been extremely blessed to have them support me in my decision.
that's a great,
Yeah.
that's a great story. So, Carmen, do you also live in the elite company of being an original Scarborite, or are you an import?
I'm original, but I don't live in Scarborough anymore. So I
All
was
right.
born and raised in Scarborough. I lived in Midland and Danforth. So
Yeah.
it's even more south,
Yeah.
near the bluffs, and spent my whole life there till my grade 11th year when my parents decided I'm going to move. So
Hmm.
I had to leave Scarborough, start a whole new school during my last year of high school. So I was very heartbroken, but I went to
Where'd you go to high school?
RH King Academy.
Oh, well, that's a serious school. That's a serious
Yeah,
school.
so
Yeah, yeah. Oh, good
yep,
for
I
you.
have full uniform experience.
The
That's
full
like, yeah,
uniform. Yeah, yeah.
like
Oh,
school, you're like wearing uniform. Like, yes,
yeah,
we had a
yeah,
little bit of a prestige thing going
yeah.
on over there, but I
Well,
went
it's
to,
true. Yeah, I mean, Scarborough is actually blessed with some seriously good high schools. Laurier is a good school. Woburn is a really good school. R.H. King is a really good school. There's if you want a decent high school education, Scarborough is actually a good place to be.
yeah, I
Yeah,
had a wonderful experience at RH King. As many really interesting because some of our youth go to RH King.
yeah, yeah.
And then we have the same teachers. So
Yeah, oh, really, really. So
I
you
had
can,
them when they first started to become teachers, and now they have, it's been 10 plus years. So they've been
oh my
still,
God. Oh, that's
so
kind of neat. Where'd you go to university?
I went to Western University, so
Oh,
got
that's
to
too
learn.
bad. You couldn't get into Queens. Was that the problem?
Are we friends with Queens? I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
And what did you study when you're there?
I study community development and social science. So
Okay, yeah,
I I had the opportunity to use my studies back into the field work.
okay.
Spent
And
4 years there
you
and
spent
then
4 years where?
at Western and
At Western,
then
yeah.
did a postgrad in nonprofit management.
Hmm, really?
So
At Western?
at Western too as well. I spent 5 years
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And
That's a lot of
so
partying. Yeah,
no,
yeah,
not for me. I
yeah,
did a lot of more sports, but
yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah.
Spent most of my time in community. I was actually planning to do science prior,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized in high school maybe that was not some of my gifting and my skills, and decided to do something I loved. And one thing I loved was charity work. So
Yeah.
that led me to here, and led me all the way to Toronto City Mission a few years after graduation.
Well, let me talk to you both about Toronto City Mission. There's some argument that it actually was founded in the 1840s, but the official version, I think, is 1879, and it's been running since 1879 in one form or another, which is really takes Toronto from literally muddy York post Confederation. That's what Toronto used to be called, is muddy York, to the modern metropolis that it is today. And you two are worthy inheritors of a commitment on the part of the faith community to particularly the Christian faith community, the Christian Presbyterian, and I would say larger evangelical communities commitment to bringing uh, relief, if you will, poverty relief with the hope of the gospel. So I'm interested in both your views of being Christians operating in this sphere when even saying that you're a Christian these days is looked down upon, and you're perceived to be slightly intellectually inferior to believe this extraordinary story. So, Mila, what is your reflection on working for what is an explicitly Christian organization?
For me, it was one of my concerns of being explicitly a Christian organization that it might be difficult to build those connections and relationships with kids and families in the community. But they have really embraced the fact that we were open in our faith. So we make it known that if the kids attend our programs, we do have Bible components. There are parts where we will share about the gospel, but many of the parents have been super receptive, and some even said, you know, my kid could use a little more Jesus in their life. So I think they appreciated that we were so open and honest, but it's really about that relationship building. So they can see through our words and our actions that we truly love and care about their kids. And hopefully they can see the love we hope to reflect of Jesus with them as well. Um, in terms of any difficulties we might face. At times, it can be sometimes a barrier that we are a Christian organization. So there are some families that may not feel comfortable to attend. We know in some other sites there is an opt-out portion. So in sites like Flemington Park, they have a predominant Muslim population, but they're still able to serve those communities because they do opt out of the Bible component, but they're able to serve them in other ways, such as the tutoring or the free after school care. So it hasn't been as big of a barrier as I thought
Hmm.
personally.
Hmm. And Carmen, what's your reflection on that issue?
So I've been in Toronto City Mission for on to my 6th year as a staff. So
Hmm.
when
You
I
don't look
first
like you're
started,
old enough. You don't look like you're old enough to be 6 years out.
yeah, 6 years into, thank you. Um, I think when I first started, It's actually the church where we are partnering with St. Stephen Presbyterian Church on 3817 Lawrence. The pastor invited us to come in
This
because
is
during
this is Alex Wilson, isn't it?
this
Right.
is Alex Wilson. He invited us to come into this neighborhood to start this program because during that time there was a lot of within the two buildings or within the neighborhood there was a lot of gang violence happening
Mm-hmm.
area, not much programs happening yet for the children, and he really wanted to see something happen for these children and opportunities for them to stay busy instead of hanging around on the street. So he invited Toronto City Mission. That's how we started in this community about 10 years ago, about 8 to 10 years ago. So when we first came in, I think because we are functioning outside of a church building, people see that we are a Christian of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And many of the families who do come are very open and receptive. I think one biggest thing they notice is how we approach and teach their children. We teach it with love, but not just with care, with attentiveness, and the way that we act. I think it really are like the families really see us as not just like social workers or childcare workers. They see us as friends and neighbors in the neighborhood too as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think another bigger challenge is we always have opportunities to invite more kids to our programs, but organizations who are in the secular part notice that we are a Christian organization and they kind of either turn us away or say we can't promote this.
Yeah.
So sometimes we see that within that, but everyone who comes through our programs know at one point they don't know who I am, so they call me the church lady for a period. But now they have my name, so more than the church lady who hangs out with their kids.
So for the parents that are bringing kids there, walk me through what you do for these families and for these children. I'm working on the assumption that these people are pretty high need people with limited resources, and the TCM clearly brings some pretty able people to the community. So walk me through either Mila or Carmen. Walk me through how you do that.
So our schedule is separated based on the school year. So from September to May, we run after school programs for the kids in the neighborhood in the local public school, or within inviting some of the kids from the local public school like Willow Park. And we run after school program from grade 1s to grade 6, and then after school program for grade 7s and 8s. And then we offer a tutoring program and we offer a leadership program. So within the school year, we have opportunities to work with them. It's all our programs are free. There is completely no cost to anything. And it's kind of like a recreation program for the kids after school. And one really nice thing to see in the school year is after a whole day, long day of school, 8 hour schools, these kids are running into the church, running out of the school bus and coming in and having a snack. We'll do some free time, some activities, some homework, games, and then we'll have Bible. And throughout that time, the kids love to update us about the latest school gossip, latest school drama, and we are there just to listen, hang out with them, give them some quality time. And some of the kids are experiencing bullying issues or family problems, and it's just a safe place for the kids to kind of grow and kind of express themselves. And we're just a listening ear, and if they need advice or stuff, we're there to help them. We're kind of like their big brothers and big sisters. And then in the summertime, in March break, we run a completely free summer camp program. So we run 7 weeks of camp for 30 kids in the neighborhood, and there's no cost to it. So we give them a summer opportunity that parents may not have a chance to give them.
Yeah. So, Mila, if Carmen is the church lady, what are you?
Her assistant? No,
Her
they
assistant
think
church,
they think I'm her sister when I first
Sister.
started.
her
They thought
sister,
we were sisters, so I guess we're both the church ladies.
church
But
lady
they,
one, church lady
yes,
two. Yeah,
yes, they know our names now, though.
yeah. So, and these summer programs, are these the summer programs that where you get the Canada Summer Grants, Summer Jobs grants?
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
So I think you got some this year. I believe that's true.
Yes, we were so
Yeah,
excited
yeah.
because Mila and I, we love the kids, but there's only two of us, and without our volunteers, it's two of us versus 30 kids. So
So
the
you're doing 30 kids a day?
Yep.
Holy
20,
smokes.
20 kids a day,
Oh
and
my
then summer
goodness.
30, 30
So
for
it's
8.
30 in the summer and 20 in the 20 during the year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
because we have summer interns through the Canada Summer Job, so it's been such a blessing to us to be able to hire 4 to 5 new interns each summer, and they get to give more quality time to the kids too as well
yeah.
and teach them.
And can you tell me about quote unquote your successes? You've been there for quite a number of years. You're, and I dare say you'll be there for quite a number of years because if anything, TCM is a faithful organization, and based upon their interpretation of scriptures that you're to be faithful, may not be successful, but I'm interested in the success. So tell me about some of your kids and, one or two that have really been stabilized by your program and have gone on to interesting things. So, Carmen or Mila?
I'll say one, and then maybe Mila can say the next story. So I've completed one generation of kids. I've had the opportunity to see some of the kids from early school age and then move on to middle school, move on to high school, and then now are grown men. They're not even
Mm,
my kids, they're working too as well. So I will share about one of my students I met. I can't say their real name, so I'm going to call him Sean.
mhm,
He started our middle school into high school, and he is the eldest. He has many other younger siblings, and he spent a lot of his time helping his mom. Mom's a single mother, raising the younger siblings, doing school, and a big part of it was he wasn't really able to figure out his skills and gifts. Graduating high school almost seems impossible. A lot of our kids really think graduating high school is almost seems impossible to them
mm,
based on
mm,
circumstances. It's crazy because I think imagine myself like high school was just the beginning of something, and some of these kids think high school is such a big hill and mountain to climb over. So I had the opportunity to kind of see him grow, kind of kept him accountable throughout those years of high school. And during his last few years, he fell in love with drama
mm,
and acting. And he is probably the shyest kid you'll ever meet. But that past year at school, his drama teacher really encouraged him. TCM also encouraged him to find his giftings too, as well. And I got to see him perform his last show during at Cedarbury, and he was spectacular. He was amazing. I've never seen him come out that shell, and I think kind of sitting there and watching him was a very proud moment, and seeing him graduate too. And then after that, he's applying for college and found a full-time job, and now is supporting himself. Moved out the Kingston Galloway neighborhood and have his own place and doing what he loves and continuing to figure out his passion and love for it. So
So, so is he
that's very
actually still doing drama?
not drama anymore. He's working, but he's hoping to go into school for drama. So
Well,
he's
the,
saving
the
up.
beauty of drama is that it allows you to be confident in yourself, and to if you will, learn leadership skills as well. Oh, that's a great story. What about you? What about you, Mila?
For me, in terms of stories of success or change, um, I have experiences on a smaller scale. So I've officially finished my first year with Toronto City Mission.
Mhm.
So I've been really blessed to have Carmen as my fellow co-worker who has really shown me the ropes. And I hope that I will also be able to see lives changed over time. I think one thing that's so beautiful about TCM is we have kids that we could potentially have in our programs from kindergarten all the way to grade 12. So you get a journey life with them. I think for me, it was the small ways in which I saw kids change. To me, that was success. So during this past year, we've seen kids either develop a love for reading and want to take books home during their free time instead of hanging with their friends, or when these kids are able to learn to regulate their emotions and respond with words rather than violence. To me, that is success. So it's those little accomplishments or even learning life skills this summer. So because we had wonderful donors and sponsors to make these camps free, we were able to go on field trips. So this summer we were able to teach some of the kids even how to swim. And those
Mm.
are lifelong skills, right? And it's something that kids may not have had an opportunity to do, but we were able to provide that for them, and they've really developed a love for swimming now, and they're able to do it confidently.
Wow. Uh, all of these incremental steps in what most of us would consider simply part of growing up. You realize that in some circumstances, particularly impoverished circumstances, learning how to swim or dealing with your emotional reactions in other than a violent way should come naturally, but it doesn't come naturally to everyone, and it's not as if there's not a lot of violence and poverty in the area in which you're working there. That's a pretty rough area, um, and so I really admire what you do. So going forward, what are your limitations as like 20 kids on a daily basis is pretty serious commitment for one church lady plus an assistant. Um, where how could the community be more helpful, if you will, to what you're trying to do? I know you in effect get a free church building and you get some volunteers to help you from time to time, but um, the need is so great and the workers are so few. Um, what's your plea, if you will, to not only the people of Scarborough Guildwood, but the people of Scarborough generally?
We are very blessed. A lot of the families, like we are so thankful for so many of the families that really entrust us with their kids. Um, and the way that we approach with the kids, it's a very holistic way. So the parents relay things from school to us, and we relay things from programs to them, and we work together to help raise their child. Really takes a village, and we have, I guess, from one family to another, like we have a waiting list. We have a waiting list of more kids wanting to come and partake in the place. And unfortunately, we are starting to outgrow the church. This past week, we were trying to play tag, and the kids are getting too big that they can't fit through the hallway, and they piled up and
Mm-hmm.
fell. And they're like all complaining there's not enough room.
Mm.
So space is something that is a consideration. We continue to hope to get more space. Um, we hope to have more community partners. I know we've been in the neighborhood for a while, so but a lot of people don't know who we are unless you know certain families. We're kind of a little bit of a niche community. On Lawrence, volunteers is a very great appreciation, and a big thing is donors.
Mm-hmm.
Donors, because all our programs we do not have any financial barrier, and we have really great individuals and churches who mostly gives, and we're always looking for people, even though they can't be the hands and feet. We're always looking for people in the back end to continue to support and keep us going.
Mm.
So those are some big things too. And any local churches who hear about our work and wants to partake, we're always looking for new partners to join us, to be a light in the community as well.
Yeah. There's a church up Orton Park, a United Church that's well, it'd be interesting to know whether they would be open to
We have a family who goes to that United Church
oh, is that
too.
right? Is that
Yeah,
right?
they go every
It's
Sunday.
it's really quite a lovely facility, but not quite as in the community as you are on Lawrence Avenue.
We're in a
And
great spot right now.
oh, you are in a great spot. Um, but there's also St. Margaret's, the Anglican Church. Not as good a facility for what your program is, but again, massive need. And Mila, what would you say to the community?
I think very similar to what Carmen said. In general, we're always looking for volunteers, especially local people. I think it's amazing when you have leaders and you have volunteers who are also part of our neighborhood, because they see it's not just people coming from far away, coming in and then driving home, that they
Mm,
see that this is a community that matters to them. And these people are important to them because we are neighbors. So I think that's what's been so special about Carmen and I being born and raised in Scarborough and going to local high schools, because a lot of our kids go there so they can relate and they understand that we have a greater understanding of the neighborhood as well because we live through it.
Yeah, I think you're right, that being born and living as much as possible locally is it gives you an investment in the community that it doesn't. Actually, I've had this conversation with the senior police officer in the area, and a lot of the officers live elsewhere other than Scarborough. And I've often thought that, you should live where you police and police where you live. Um, and so I commend both of you for being living, having the prestige of being born and raised in Scarborough. I mean, three out of the four of us can say that. Yes, yes,
No,
yeah.
we love
So
Scarborough. It's a great neighborhood, and like I've lived elsewhere and I've never felt so much community till I'm at Kingston Galloway.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
No, you've done it. You're both of you done admirable work. And so with that, we should wind it up. The title of this particular podcast comes from Churchill, Winston Churchill, who said, you make a living by what you do, and you make a life by what you give. And the two of you are living, breathing examples of making a life by what you give, and very commendable. The mission itself is very commendable. The faithfulness from 1879 to now is not a well known story, and probably should be. So maybe we just with these last few minutes, maybe we've contributed to that story. So thank you both for making yourselves available. Um, One of the privileges of being the MP for the area is that you get to find out about things that you didn't have a clue about. And I've driven past that church 1,000 times and didn't realize that Alex Wilson had partnered with you and made the church available. So thank you, and blessings on both of you.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much
Thank
for having
you.
Okay.
us.
Bye bye.
Bye.